Fisher, welcome.
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 Welcome. Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome to Startup Central Victoria.
This is an exciting and collaborative journey.
Creating and growing businesses in the region.
Together we can learn to work and support each other.
We look forward to hearing more about your business ideas.
And thank you for your commitment to our region.
This is a wonderful, exciting time for businesses. We know you've been through a lot and we're really looking forward to working together with you as a region.
And finally, can I say that entrepreneurial spirit and commitment leads to transformational change. What a great thing. Thank you.
So I will add my welcome to that of our councillors across the 6 LGAs of Central Victoria. I'm Kerry Anderson, if we haven't met before, and it's been my privilege to be working with Startup Central Victoria. I would like to start by acknowledging and extending my appreciation for the traditional owners of the land that we are standing on today. The Central Victoria region is meeting on Yorta Yorta, Dja Dja Wurrung and Taungurung country, and we wish to pay our respects to leaders and elders past, present and emerging. Startup Centre Victoria is funded by the Victorian State Government and is focused on encouraging startups and scale-ups across the region. It's supported by La Trobe University's Innovation and Entrepreneurship Unit and led by the City of Greater Bendigo. We've been doing lots of meetups and programs, discussions just like tonight. So let's get started with our Opportunities Forum. What are the big ideas? The opportunities that are sitting right under our noses, just waiting to happen here in Central Victoria. We know we have the talent and probably the resources, but do we have the passion and drive to make it happen? Tonight is all about sharing 3 big ideas pitched to you by our guest speakers. Very brave, generous guest speakers, I might add. We have Caleb Maxwell, Ross Turnbull and Vicki Lane sitting on the sidelines just waiting to inspire you. Will their ideas excite you? Do they have potential? That's up to you to decide. After the 5-minute pitches, we're going to invite you, when they're all completed, to jump into the chat rooms and ask your questions and add your ideas and thoughts to the conversation. So you will get a chance to also participate. But first, we'll start with the big ideas, just get an overview of what they want us to get excited about. So we're going to start with Caleb Maxwell. He is the creative director of Hebron Films in Bendigo. His business operates out of the Emporium Creative Hub, works all over the place, interstate, throughout the region. And he has a really strong interest in the creative sector. I've even seen his photo pop up online as an actor. So we can see where this idea is coming from. Yeah. And we all know that you don't have to go far in this region to find the creatives, whether they're actors, writers, or really great tech support people. They're all around us. We meet them in the supermarket every day. So I'm going to hand over to Caleb to inspire us. Thanks, Caleb.
Thank you very much, Kerry. I knew since I was 9 years old that I wanted to make feature films. When I was 14, I developed an idea for a 2-part epic feature set in ancient Israel. The production of that film would require hundreds of millions of dollars and the best post-production and VFX that the modern film industry has to offer. So naturally, I labeled it as a one day in the distant future goal, and I put it on the shelf. If I fast forward 7 years, and after completing film school, I chose to move back to Bendigo, even though I wanted to make films because I love this city and I believe that nothing is impossible. For the last 10 years, my feature film production dream has been right where I put it, still on the shelf. Until recently, the thought of one day producing that multi-million-dollar film here in Australia, let alone Central Victoria, has been pure fantasy. But what if it's not fantasy? Tonight's event is about opportunities. I'm sure you jumped online tonight, maybe expecting me to pitch a production company. If you'd read the promos, that's what they all said. But the truth of the matter is that a production company isn't going to achieve the real goal. So what is the real goal? The real goal behind my pitch tonight is to contribute to the formation of a screen production industry in Bendigo in Central Victoria that facilitates the development of local concepts and attracts national and international screen projects to here. Before I share how this could be possible, let's quickly touch on the why. Like me, there are many, many other creatives born and bred in Central Victoria who are destined for the screen production industry. Sadly, most of these people either have to move away to achieve their dreams or stay here and give them up. 3 success stories I could think of off the top of my head were Greg McLean, the filmmaker behind Wolf Creek, Shane Brennan, the executive producer of NCIS, and Aaron Blaby, actor, author, and executive producer of his recently released animated film, The Bad Guys. All 3 of these grew up in Bendigo. Apart from fostering opportunities for local writers, directors, producers, and crew, a film industry in Bendigo would have a hugely positive impact on the whole region and our local economy. The screen production industry in Victoria contributes over $2 billion annually in gross value added to our local economy through direct and indirect expenditure. But only a tiny percentage of this actually finds its way to Central Victoria. So how do we build a film industry in Bendigo? That's a pretty big goal. Well, for those of you who don't know, let me explain the 5 main stages of the life of a film. And these are, number 1, concept development and funding. This takes an average of 2 years. Pre-production, 3 to 7 months. Production is about 1 to 4 months. Post-production, 7 to 12 months. And distribution, which is often an ongoing journey. If we're going to build a film industry from scratch, we need to pick one very specific part of the production process, provide an offering that filmmakers from around the country and the world can't say no to, and leverage the growth of that endeavor to build out the next stage and the one after that and the one after that. My idea is to utilize the current and future strengths of Bendigo to create a top-tier post-production facility. This facility would boast state-of-the-art equipment at a cheaper cost than the alternative options in Melbourne and Sydney, most of which are outdated or already in high demand. So why post-production? Well, I've got 2 reasons. Number 1, apart from concept development and funding, post-production is the longest and most profitable stage of a film's development, which means that if we're attracting filmmakers to come to Bendigo to complete post-production at our facility, they'll stay longer and they'll leave more money in the local economy. And the second reason is that there aren't many limiting factors to where a film can be edited, as opposed to production, where the choice of what location and facilities and crew are used is predetermined by the story, the existing relationships, tax incentives, and funding prerequisites. Bendigo has 3 strengths that I think in particular will make it an extremely attractive option for filmmakers to travel to complete their film. Firstly, thanks to QantasLink and the Bendigo Airport, Bendigo is one of the only regional cities in Australia that is under a 2-hour journey from both Melbourne and Sydney, the 2 largest film production centres in Australia. Bendigo's second key strength is its plan to introduce a 100 gig internet speed to the CBD. This will mean that production rushes can be quickly and easily sent to the editing facility. Collaboration with other team members in high-speed cities is more than achievable, and cloud data storage and backup is an efficient and viable option. And finally, as a member of the UNESCO Creative Cities Network, Bendigo combines its beautiful and historic cityscape with a world-class arts and food culture. This presents a huge value proposition for filmmakers to feel inspired and fulfilled as they embark on one of the final adventures in their production journey. So if we can wrap all this up and offer it for 10 to 15% less than what they would have to pay in Melbourne or Sydney, then it's an offer they can't refuse. Now, I know that some of you may be thinking, what part of this idea provides opportunities for local writers, directors, and producers and crew? Well, if you're interested in hearing about my idea for what comes next, then jump in the chat room with me in a few minutes. But for now, all I'll say is that I believe that this is the first and best step we can take toward building a thriving screen production industry in Central Victoria. Thanks for listening.
Well done, Caleb. That you've got me excited. You have, and I love the way you linked in with some of the elements that show you've done your homework. So I'm going to invite everyone to type into the chat, what did you like about Caleb's suggestion? What the proposal? What's something that took your eye or you heard that was really resonated with you? So everyone jump in and start giving your feedback. It's doable. That's the most important thing of all. Is it achievable? Grant thinks so. So you've got one backer. Any other suggestions or comments? One component, yeah, create, yep. So it could be a stage thing. We'll start with that. Doesn't mean we can't do the others. Someone's looking for opportunities for their family. Well researched, good. Diversity, excellent. So getting some positive feedback here, I think, yeah.
Love it. Thanks, everyone.
You've resonated. So sounds like you'll have a few people in the chat room with you afterwards. Thanks, Caleb. That was great. All right. Our second speaker is Ross Turnbull. He's Executive Officer of Working Heritage, an organisation that's very close to my heart, I have to say. I love the name, and that's what attracted me to apply to be on the committee. It's an organisation that reactivates heritage properties on public land for new purposes to benefit the community. Most recently, Working Heritage, as you may have seen in the media, was appointed to manage the old Kyneton School site. Wonderful location right near the town square. But what are the potential business opportunities that could be feasible for this site? Ross is going to share that information with us and inspire us to look towards Kyneton.
Thank you very much, Kerry. Can I just ask one quick question of Lauren? Am I able to control the slides, or do I need to wave to you when I want it advanced?
Just say next slide, please, and I'll put it on for you.
I will do that. Let's go straight to slide number 2, because Kerry's given a great introduction to exactly what Working Heritage is. There are our properties, most of which, well, roughly half of which are in and around Melbourne. We've got a couple down on the Bellarine Peninsula, a number out in the goldfields. We go right out to Warwick-Nabil, and as Kerry has already mentioned, Kyneton will become our 17th property in 2022. Next slide, please. Just a quick tour. I won't bore you with the details, but here they are. We've got courthouses, a gunpowder magazine, a telegraph station, a temperance hall, and a mint, to name but a few. All of these conserved and adapted for new uses in the 21st century. Next slide, please, Lauren. Kyneton Primary School was a operating school for 156 years, right up until 2017. And in 2023, it will become a creative industry and community precinct. Can we have the next slide, please? It's a really well located facility right in the centre of Kyneton, near the junction of High Street and Mollison Street. It's near the town hall, it's near the library, the Mechanics Institute, shopping centre, and the town square. Next slide, please. From 2023, OKPS, as we like to call it, will have approximately 1,800 square metres of offices, studios, workshops, meeting places, hospitality, and a gallery, as well as outdoor event and market space. Next slide, please, Lauren. We're keen to talk to all comers who want to be part of a precinct that provides for the kind of serendipitous interactions between different creators, businesses, that provokes ideas and leads to new opportunities. We're looking here at the adapted 1980s half of the school, workshops or studio spaces with direct access to external areas. Next slide, please, Lauren. And the old or the original 1861 bluestone buildings earmarked for a gallery space and hospitality. And of course, there's the usual amenities and service spaces. Next slide, please, Lauren. So if you can see yourself taking a space or wanting to participate in this kind of a precinct, please pop into the chat room and talk to me about what you might do, and I can tell you what we've got to offer. Next slide, please, Lauren. And just as a little hint, this is in fact an adapted school here in Melbourne, the former Brunswick High School, now a educational, community and arts facility, loved and really well used by its local community. There's great precedents for doing this, and we're really fortunate to have the support of Creative Victoria and the state government, who are doing a whole lot of really valuable work making the facility fit for purpose and compliant with building codes and all of those things that you need to do in the 21st century. So I'm happy to leave it here and see you in the chat room.
Thank you, Ross. I actually got distracted when you used the word serendipitous and was actually impressed that you could say it so smoothly. I thought, what a difficult, it's a bit like entrepreneurship. I've had to practice that for years. So
I was surprised that I could do that, Kerry. I was a little nervous writing it down. So yeah.
So I'm really interested also from you as well as our viewers, what are the types of business opportunities that you could see fitting really well in that Kyneton space when all these buildings are fit for purpose, beautifully presented, and everyone just wants to be there?
I think there's just a key phrase you've mentioned there, Kerry, beautifully presented. And I don't want to talk it down, having just talked it up. But one of the things that it's worth noting is that all of the history, all of the wear and tear and the marks made by generations of children will still largely be there. But it will be, it will have high-speed internet, it will have copious amounts of electrical power supply, it will have mechanical ventilation where that's appropriate. So we're really seeing it as a space that you can come in and make your mark on and do your creative work in. We're not thinking very specifically of any particular type of practitioner. The only thing I will say is that the idea of creative industry is a very wide basket. There's no, there's not really many areas that you can't pitch somehow as being a creative industry. There's no room for a McDonald's franchise, but there's definitely room for IT, for performance, for making, for thinking, for education, research. We want to hear what people want to do, and we want to respond to demand as much as anything.
Fantastic. And I believe that there will be an online expression of interest coming up shortly. How far away is that?
I'm going to say touch wood, within the next fortnight we will be launching that.
Fantastic. So you're actually getting forewarning of this opportunity to get in there. And we're seeing lots of suggestions coming through, copywriters, graphic designers. I saw some production, podcasting, community radio, video shows. I think between Kyneton and Bendigo, we could be really taking on the world with some of these things. So probably excellent.
Worth noting that at the moment, it's all concept. So when we talk to people, and if we've got somebody who wants a large space, I'm sure we can accommodate that, the same as we can accommodate somebody who wants a really quite a small micro studio space. All of that, the building will be adapted to suit the kind of proposals that we get.
And of course, there'll be some core things like a regional art gallery and some hospitality that will be up for grabs as well. So lots of things to talk about and get excited about. Thank you so much, Ross, and thank you everyone for your suggestions. That's all adding to the ideas of how it can be shaped to meet the community and region's needs. So thank you. All right, our third idea. If you haven't got enough to be excited about yet, well, just hold your horses. You could find something else in this next pitch, big idea. Vicki Lane is from SquareV, and she is co-founder of that business. It's a Bendigo-based firm that provides custom software, websites, and apps across Australia and beyond, with a focus on the agricultural sector in particular. We've valued Vicki's contributions previously at Conversations and welcome her back tonight to share her big idea. Thank you, Vicki, for stepping up to the plate. It's all yours.
Thanks, Kerry. Hi, everyone. So Kerry's done a great job of introducing me, but as she said, I run a company called SquareV. So SquareV is software consultancy, building software and apps. So we build stuff for people across Australia and the world. So you've probably never heard of us before, as we haven't been very active locally, but we're trying to change that. And part of that's chatting to you guys today. So SquareV was started about 8 years ago in the spare room in our house. And a couple of months after getting our first employee, we moved to Workspace Australia downtown in Bendigo. And then after getting our third employee, we moved out into our own space on Condon Street next to the fish and chip shop. So SquareV's grown over time, and now that we have our seventh employee, we've outgrown that space too, and we're on the hunt for a new home. But we've run into a bit of a problem because office space in Bendigo is really expensive, right? It's going to cost me the same for an office as it would for another software developer, and people won't negotiate even when the property's been vacant for years. So this has been a bit of a bugbear, and this really got us to thinking, right? Because a lot of the office space that's available as well isn't really going to fit the needs of us as a tech company. So what we're looking for in particular is, say, an open plan office space with meeting rooms for people to chat. We're a disability aware employer and we have staff with mobility needs. Lots of Bendigo office spaces are upstairs above shops, so we need to retrofit spaces to accommodate our staff. And also things like, public transport in Bendigo really isn't there, and our staff aren't keen for paying for parking, so people don't want to be in downtown. So there's lots of stuff that's not really fitting. And I've been chatting to other companies around the same size as us, and we're not the only ones having this problem with finding space. So it's a problem that lots of companies, particularly in the tech space around Bendigo, are having. There are other issues too for tech companies in Bendigo. So networking is hard. People are spread out all over the place, and people have never heard of our company because we're not near them and we're not, advertising or located downtown. So what we've come up with as an idea and a potential solution to this is that I would really love to see Bendigo have its own technology park where tech-based businesses and startups can grow, develop, and collaborate in a fit-for-purpose space with other related businesses. So I know that there's a number of really great spaces available in Bendigo currently, like Workspace Australia, where we started out. There's also places like Possum Works and Creative Emporiums, but these are all really sort of at the smaller end. They're suitable for maybe a few staff, but my team of 9 people now is not going to fit there, right? Like I need somewhere I can scale my business up, and I'm just not finding that support at the moment. So to give an example, Ballarat has its own technology park. The Federation Uni Technology Parks was started about 20 years ago with the goals of attracting business investment, creating quality jobs for uni graduates, and positively impacting the regional economy. And you can really say that they've done that. So the stats that I found on this is that the Ballarat Tech Park currently employs 1,400 people, contributes $100 million per annum to regional household income. So that's through the wages of people employed there, and also creates $300 million per annum in regional economic outputs. So that's money generated in the region. So this is amazing, right? Like that's a lot of money flowing into there, and a lot of jobs like in their regional town, staying in their regional town. So I really think that we need something like this in Bendigo. So there are examples of this all over the country. So Ballarat's not the only one. So there's a Tasmanian technopark in Hobart that was also started for the same sort of reason, to keep tech jobs in Tasmania and stop flying in mainlanders. So they have over 500 people working there and exporting to 46 countries. So it's not a one-off. It's not a thing that can only be done once. It could happen anywhere. So Bendigo is excellently positioned to be a tech startup hub, particularly from my perspective, an ag tech startup hub. And also I think that we have really great potential as a med tech startup hub with things like Bendigo Health and our huge new hospital. That's makes it an ideal place for med tech startups. Plus, as an ag tech hub, we're surrounded by farmers and farmland. We're centrally located right in the middle of Victoria with many different types of farm businesses. And also, as Caleb mentioned, we're 2 hours from the airport with direct flights to other places. Sorry, we have our own airport with direct flights to other capital cities like Sydney, 2 hours away. So I'm a bit biased, but my strong belief is that as a tech startup, a tech business, we don't need to be in a capital city. We can work from anywhere. And it's a much better lifestyle in Bendigo than it is in a capital city, in my opinion. So as a founder of a small business, being in Bendigo helps me. I have no trouble attracting top talent to move here from big cities where people can't afford houses. I can pay regionally appropriate wages because people aren't servicing a Melbourne-sized mortgage. And like I said, our quality of life is higher. We don't spend all day in traffic. Staff are happier, more time to do the things they love and stuff like that. So I really think that creating more tech businesses and tech jobs in Bendigo is great for the region. So in summary, I'd love to see Bendigo become a regional tech hub, particularly in ag tech, med tech, and I think we need to create a purpose-built space to allow local tech companies to come together in one location where they can find space to call home and scale up their businesses, create potential for collaboration, and attract other tech companies and tech investment to our community. Thanks, everyone.
Well done, Vicki. And I heard some elements of research popping in there, even when you did borrow a bit from Caleb. Well done, you. And I love the way you dropped Ballarat in there. All our competitive vibes just rose to the foreground. Nice strategy, I have to say. And I'm thinking about working heritage. Ross just talking about repurposing buildings. Do you envisage it could be an existing place repurposed, or does it need to be a greenfield site? Have you got any thoughts on that? And I see in the chat box, there's been lots of suggestions. So this is a conversation that has to happen.
Yeah, were you asking me or the chat, Kerry?
For you. Do you have any preconceptions? Should it be a brand new facility, or you could repurpose an existing facility?
I think anything would be great, as long as we've got, as long as there's space and people can meet and chat and stuff like that. I think you may struggle to get a heritage place big enough, but
not necessarily heritage, but in terms of repurposing existing buildings. Yeah, no, we're not going to put the heritage on you as well. Yeah. Excellent job. So I see some comments coming through the chat box. We're already getting suggestions about potential sites. I think there's going to be a healthy discussion there. It's going to be a bit hard for our conversation leaders to be jumping from room to room, but others can. And a few questions. Obviously, there's key stakeholders to be consulted, whether it's La Trobe or it's the City of Greater Bendigo. And of course, we've just recently been, as you mentioned, the 100 gig feasibility study into a digital hub. These are all relevant things that could support this. So well done, Vicki, and thank you for presenting your idea. And the question is, how many other tech companies are in a similar position to yourself? And I loved hearing you've started at home, workspace, into commercial premises. It's just a beautiful pathway explaining how businesses grow organically and through your hard work as the owners. And now you're contributing to potentially a big collaborative idea. So I think that will be a great discussion. All right. So now we have finished hearing our 3 ideas, some similarities, some great differences. It's time for you all to contribute and ask your questions. So what we're going to do is the wonderful Lauren in the background will put up 3 chat rooms for you all to join one of our presenters to talk to them more, ask questions, contribute ideas. And there's 3 main points of discussion that I'd like you to come out of. Okay, Josh is torn. He doesn't know which room to go into. You can go into all 3 rooms if you want to, Josh. You can pop in and out. I was going to tell you that in a moment, but I won't leave you in anguish. The key questions I would like answered by the time you come out, and we'll give you a good 30 minutes to chat through this, is there support for the concept? You know, agreement, it's, you know, got merit, it's worth pursuing. Is it feasible? Does it need to be staged? Now, Caleb might have bitten off a bit more than he could chew when he first thought about this idea, and he's revised that into stages. Very smart. And then finally, what is the next step? We don't want to just talk about it. Perhaps that next step may be the opportunity to take one of these ideas to the hackathon. It could be developing a potential business idea that could fit into the old Kyneton site. It could be the screen production, post-production. It could be the tech park. Maybe that is the next step, or maybe there's got to be more research. But I'd really like a defined action, and how can we help you take that action? So we'll talk more about the hackathon later as an opportunity. So Lauren, if we could put the chat rooms up, and we'll ask our hosts to go into there, and you can all jump into your highest priority and start the conversation, but come back and go into other chat rooms as you wish. So happy collaborating. Go for it, people.
Thanks, Kerry. I'm going to open them now. And as Kerry noted, if you want to change rooms, feel free to come back to the main session, and I can reassign you to a different room if you can't jump from one to the other. But I'm going to open them now. I'm assuming that has popped up for everyone.
And do we actually have to scroll down to choose which one you want to go into? So scroll down the list.
I can see some people joining in.
Yep, it's working.
Yes.
We better get our presenters in there too. So, are we all back in the room yet, Lauren? We're good to go? We have a lot of participants. I think we are. So
yes, all good to go.
Hoping we had some good conversations there. So, Caleb, where are we, Caleb? Come and tell us what you heard in your room. We've got 3 questions for you, Caleb. What did they like about your proposal, if anything? I think there was a bit of support there. Is it feasible? How you want to do it, amendment stages, and third, what is the next step for you?
Right, number 1, there was some great interest. Probably the common theme was the opportunity that it would present to local creatives. That was a big theme. The viability of it as a business case was talked about. Lots of excitement in the room, so that was good. Second question was, please refresh my memory, Kerry.
Is it feasible? Do you need to make any more suggestions of how you could amend your approach or stages?
Yeah, I had some great suggestions from a few people talking about feasibility studies, talking about what is a small step towards the facility, like what's the gap between where we are now and what we would need or what we want in the fully fledged post-production capable facility. So seeing where some really half steps could be to get some experience and reputation under our belt. So that was cool. And the third question.
What is the next step? What's something tangible we can do to make this happen? Or you could have several actions.
I mentioned to the group that having a group of people to collaborate and go on the journey with would make it probably a much smoother and faster process. And I had some hands put up to help with that and start an initial conversation, which is great. I love the idea of it being picked up and fleshed out at a hackathon. That could be really cool in terms of really gathering the data on its feasibility and digging deep into that side of things. So yeah, if either of those things happened, I'd be very, very happy.
Well, that sounds great if you've already got that interest. So you're happy to be the central point to take this discussion forward? That's great.
If you want to email me or anything like that, you can reach me at caleb@hebronfilms.com. There's an emergency over the road out there, producing some nice lighting. And yeah, so that's me, caleb@hebronfilms.com.
And of course, if anyone needs to be put in contact with anyone else, I've Startup Centre Victoria can also assist in that. Thank you, Caleb, for leading that conversation. It was a great one too. And I will pay tribute to John from Kyneton, who we had a conversation about the difficulty of local creatives getting their work published, and just in that conversation, I said, well, we should create our own company, and you picked it up and run with it. So well done. It was
good work, John.
Casual conversations can lead to great things. So yeah, and that's where having conversations with new people in new places really helps. All right. Ross was in our second room. Now, this is a slightly different scenario in that it could be 100 different opportunities. We were talking about a site, but the opportunities for that site. So Ross, what were the things that were appealing to people about the Kyneton project?
Thanks, Kerry. And yes, we are looking for at least 100 proposals or responses to our call for registration of interest. Don't think I'm going out on too much of a limb to say I think there's definitely interest and support for the idea. Had some interesting inquiries and also some good feedback just on, the need to take care not to step on toes of existing businesses to undercut rents or things like that, and to ensure that the site has not just an attraction for people who want to take space and work in there, but for businesses and activities that will bring casual visitors to the site to really activate it and make it vibrant, because otherwise it's just a big building with some people inside. We've got quite significant area of open space around it that needs to be active and vibrant to really make OKPS a real asset and valuable to the town. We didn't really talk next steps because everybody knew what the next step is already before the conversation started.
Were there any other suggestions? We know we're going to put an EO out. Obviously, the master planning is going to go to consultation. Was there anything else that came out of that, or we think we've got it covered?
Look, I kind of feel that we have it covered. We did talk about the channels that we'll be making it aware from. So, hopefully you won't have to hunt for it. It'll be out there in front of everybody's eyes to see when we launch in a couple of weeks' time.
Fantastic. And we can make sure if anyone's interested, we'll put that up for everyone too. And were there any new types of business ideas that you hadn't considered before came up in the conversation?
I don't want to say that we're already considering everything, but we do consider a lot. And this isn't necessarily rocket science. We talked to Jacqueline, who is a tenant at the Mill in Castlemaine. That is a fantastic site of a similar nature, not very far away from Kyneton. There are places and spaces like this, reactivated, redundant historic buildings all over the world. And the great thing about them is that while you can kind of group them together as a concept to say they're similar, but each of them has a really strong, when they work, they have a really strong place-based identity. And this is about Kyneton and the Macedon Ranges. That's got to make that work to give it that sense of identity.
And adding to the region, people come to the Macedon Ranges, then they come to the Mount Alexander, they'll pop across to Central Goldfields, up to Greater Bendigo to see the Elvis, or vice versa, coming back down. We're all working together. It's a great concept. Thanks, Ross, for leading that conversation. That was terrific. Yeah. And we have Vicki. So, Vicki, in your room, and I noticed there are a lot of people in your room. We were counting the numbers, Lauren and I, and it was great that there was strong interest.
We have a winner.
What did they like about the proposal, Vicki?
I think there was sort of general support, but maybe a few questions around the feasibility in terms of can we make it work, and have things like this tried to be started in the past and maybe not succeeded. So we were talking about potential buildings that might be possible, and a number of the existing places that were earmarked for this kind of thing being either bought up or not unable to be developed. We found some cool sites. We talked a bit about the Beehive building. We talked about the old gasworks, and we decided that we want to move in there. So people can just get on with fixing that up. That'd be great. And in terms of next steps, we decided that one of the important things we could do is find a list of potential tenants. So if we can talk to the other businesses and see if they're willing to chat and maybe get their names on the list as potential tenants, then we can form a bit of a group and start pitching this to people and trying to find funding and anchor tenants, and then also potentially talking with La Trobe Uni and seeing if they might be interested in coming on board as the educational partner. As Nick pointed out, that many of these places are supported by universities like the one at Ballarat and the one in Adelaide and stuff like that. So yeah, I think we had a great chat.
They're two great steps, really great. And maybe, Vicki, we can talk and think about how we could put that out through our channels, call out for that list of potential tenants that would be interested in that. So we could perhaps help you gather that data. So yeah, we'll touch base and do that. And have, and maybe there's some people that might like to support you in that process as well. So once again, I'm happy to connect if you don't already have Vicki's contacts, but I know you're very well known in the tech sector, Vicki. So thank you for leading that conversation. That was fantastic. Well done. All right. So one of the potential steps that we talked about was that we could start building these business ideas, a case, through the hackathon that's coming up, the Startup Central Victoria Hackathon. Now, Grant Downey will be facilitating this event. And I see Lauren's just popped in a reference, a link, if you want to find out more information and put your name down for it. There it is in the chat box. But Grant, tell us what we can expect from the hackathon, please.
Yeah, so for anyone who hasn't been to one before, a hackathon is an event over a couple of days where an idea for a business is really put through its paces. And so the idea of learning how to build a business, what are the stages that this idea will need to go through from being just someone's, been bubbling on the back of their, the mind for a little while, and now they want to actually put it into a real business. And so what are the steps that you might need to go through? By coming along to an event like this, you actually find that you can make some really interesting progress in terms of prototyping, or starting to really well define a minimum viable form of your idea. So for a post-production company, the idea of being able to really zero in on, well, what would it take to sort of tip over into early viability for an effort around post-production, or for the Kyneton Primary School, it sounds like, Ross, you've already got a process that's really well developed. But in terms of being able to think about how might you use that space, to Kerry's question, are there any left field ideas about how people might actually utilize that space? And then, for the tech park, again, we've just been talking about trying to find maybe some potential tenants, talking to people about if they were thinking about becoming a tenant in a facility like that, what would their requirements be? That way you can really start to get a better definition of what your solution needs to look like. And so over the weekend, you can talk to people who hopefully will become your early customers or who might become your early customers, collect a whole lot of data, and be able to really progress your thinking and potentially even a design or prototype for your business idea. We ran a hackathon, Startup Central Victoria ran a hackathon back October last year. We had a 2-day weekend, Saturday and Sunday, well, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all online because of the COVID challenges. And we're really looking forward to having a real in-person, in real life event this time around in order to enable people to come to Bendigo without having to look at accommodation. We landed on a 2-Sunday format. And so the idea is that by having the event spread over 2 Sundays with a week in between, Sunday, May 22 and Sunday, May 29 from 9 until 6. There's time in the morning if people want to drive from the far reaches of Central Victoria and to come into, it's going to be at the campus of La Trobe in Bendigo in the shiny new engineering building, which is really easy to get to. And so the idea is that there'll be 2 Sundays, 9 until 6 on each Sunday, and then there will be activities in the week in between. One of the challenges when you've just got a weekend is that it really is super compressed in terms of timing. I've not run a 2-weekend, like a 2-Sunday event before, and I'm really interested to see how this one plays out because I think there's some amazing opportunities for a team to actually do some, really get some really good data and feedback from potential customers in that week in between the Sundays. So I think there's going to be some fantastic ideas come out of it, and some teams are going to have a really interesting time. And so the link that
Yep,
it's
already been put in. Lauren has put the link in, Grant.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you'll find
So
it
you
on the Startup Central Victoria website. And we do encourage, if you're thinking, oh, I'm a bit busy this time, I'll do it next time. I'm sorry, there may not be a next time, and it's free. So please take advantage of these wonderful resources and services while they're here right in Central Victoria. And, we had a boot camp at La Trobe's engineering campus, and it's a great space to work in, and you meet some great people. So thanks, Grant. And thank you to our teams, our participants. Please reach out to me if there's any information you would like. We will send out a link to the recording, which is also on our website, as are all our past events, including last year's Opportunity Forum, where we talked about robotics to agriculture to everything, if you really want to deep dive into some of the opportunities. And we look forward to seeing you at another meetup discussion sometime soon. Thank you, everybody. Lovely to see you online and hope to see you in person very soon.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.